Hey everybody, it's the History Teacher. This episode looks at the Italian Renaissance. Renaissance is a French word which means rebirth. The Renaissance was an intellectual, cultural, and artistic flourishing that occurred first in Italy between about 1300 and 1550. The Renaissance emphasized new learning and artistic expressions, and the rediscovery of knowledge and perspective from ancient Greece and Rome. Italian city-states such as Venice, Milan, Padua, Pisa, and especially Florence were the core of many Renaissance developments. It should be noted, though, that the impact of the Renaissance was limited to a small portion of the population, the rich elite. For everyone else, their lives continued unaffected by any advancements of the Renaissance. The main themes of the Renaissance were humanism, individualism, and virtue. Humanism refers to the reading and understanding of writings and ideals of ancient Greece and Rome before the spread of Christianity. Renaissance scholars observe that because ancient Greece and Rome were pre-Christian, they were not God-centered like medieval Europe was, but people-centered. That's the essence of humanism. Individualism refers to the emphasis on individual expression, individual value, and individual action, as opposed to emphasizing group or community behavior, which was the main medieval perspective. Renaissance individualism valued great accomplishments and looked for heroes in history. Virtue, spelled virtu, no E at the end, refers to people working to realize their full human potential through the cultivation of their abilities. These abilities could be in art, speech, politics, and warfare, for example. Someone trying to maximize her or his potential would be pursuing Renaissance virtue. So what caused the Renaissance? Several origins can be identified. First, Italian economic growth. Northern Italy was very wealthy because it served as a trading hub between the silk and spice-producing east and the consuming west of England, France, and Germany. Also, Italian merchants had built great wealth in the cloth industry and developed international banks. This wealth gave the upper class leisure to produce new ideas and the money to support the artists and scholars who produced new works. A second cause was political. Struggles between the papacy, the Holy Roman Empire, and merchants during the Middle Ages had resulted in the independence of many small city-states in northern Italy. The governments of these city-states, often controlled by one man, competed for prestige by supporting artists and scholars. A third cause was that northern Italian city-states were often built on the ruins of ancient Roman ones, and the citizens knew of their heritage. It was easy to become interested in the ancient past when the ruins of a great civilization were scattered about. A fourth cause was the arrival in Italy of people who were fleeing the falling Byzantine Empire. These people brought with them new ideas, including the study of Greek, knowledge of which had been forgotten outside of Greece. Therefore, no ancient Greek texts could be understood. Humanist writers were inspired by and imitated works of the classical past, meaning ancient Greece and Rome. Classical literature was more secular, that is, non-religious, and wide-ranging than that of the Middle Ages. The first truly Renaissance writer was Petrarch, who lived from 1304 to 1374. He wrote in both Latin and Italian, promoted the study of ancient Rome, collected and preserved work of ancient writers, and produced much work in the classical literary style. He's best known for his sonnets, including many expressing his love for a married woman named Laura, and is considered the father of humanism. Boccaccio, who lived from 1313 to 1375, wrote the Decameron, a collection of short stories. It was written in Italian rather than in Latin, and was meant to entertain the reader rather than offer religious lessons. Both of these features deviated from the medieval norm. Castiglione, who lived from 1478 to 1429, authored the Book of the Courtier, which specified the qualities necessary for a Renaissance gentleman. Abilities in conversation, sports, arms, dance, music, Latin, and Greek, he advised, should be combined with an agreeable personal demeanor. The book was translated into many languages and greatly influenced Western ideas about correct education and behavior. Artists also broke with the medieval past in both technique and content. Renaissance art also used religious topics, but often dealt with non-religious themes or portraits of individuals. Oil paints, new techniques of light and shadow, and linear perspectives produced works of energy which appeared to have 3 dimensions, not just 2. By copying classical models and using freestanding pieces, Renaissance sculptors produced works celebrating the individualistic and non-religious spirit of the day. Renaissance architects openly copied ancient Roman forms, such as the rounded arch and squared angles, when constructing towns and country houses for the rich, and urban buildings for the cities. Several artists became associated with the new style of art. Giotto, who lived from 1266 to 1336, painted religious scenes using a technique called chiaroscuro to create an illusion of depth and greater realism using light and shadow. He's considered the father of Renaissance painting. Donatello, who lived from 1386 to 1466, the father of Renaissance sculpture, produced in his David the first statue cast in bronze since classical times. Masaccio emphasized naturalism in his painting Expulsion of Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden by showing realistic, nude human figures with 3 dimensions expressing emotion. Leonardo da Vinci produced numerous works, including The Last Supper and the Mona Lisa, as well as many mechanical designs, although few were ever constructed. Raphael, a master of Renaissance grace and style, theory and technique, represented these skills in his work called The School of Athens. Michelangelo, who lived from 1475 to 1560, was, like Leonardo, a universal man. He produced masterpieces in architecture, sculpture, and in painting, like the Sistine Chapel ceiling, for example. His work was a bridge to a new, non-Renaissance style called Mannerism. Renaissance scholars were more pragmatic and secular than medieval ones. Instead of focusing on God, they focused on people and on solving practical problems. Also, scholars participated in the lives of their cities as active politicians. Leonardo Bruni, who lived from 1370 to 1444, was a civic humanist. He served as Chancellor of Florence, where he used his rhetorical skill to rouse its citizens against external enemies. He also wrote a history of his city and was the first to use the term humanism. Niccolò Machiavelli, who lived from 1469 to 1527, wrote his book The Prince, which analyzed politics from the standpoint of reason rather than faith or tradition. His work describes how a political leader could obtain and hold power by acting only in his self-interest and regardless of morality. At the time, the effects of the Renaissance were originally confined to a small number of rich and powerful people. But over the centuries, Renaissance notions of individualism, human dignity, and human potential have influenced the whole world. All right, that's it for now. Thank you for watching and see you next time.